Intelligent Ramblings presents Intelligent College Football. Hosted by Bill Lofton, Gary Glenn, William Howington, and John Coleman.
Welcome to Intelligent Ramblings. I'm Bill Lofton. I'm your host along with John Cohn, Gary Glenn, and William Howington. This is Intelligent College Football. And that's pretty much all we're going to talk about. It's college football. Well, did anybody get a chance to watch the Mississippi State Georgia game, which was, according to a lot of people, including some of the ESPN people, that it was a trap game, and one of them even picked us to lose, or Georgia to lose, not us, although we are Georgia fans. Anybody get a chance to watch that game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I watched most of it. Yep, sure did.
And I thought Georgia looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Won
Well,
by 20, didn't they?
Gunners still in the running for Heisman. Yeah, they won by exactly 20, 41-21. So it wasn't much of it was a pretty good game, but Georgia just took over pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of doubt involved in it.
And, and I'm glad that, because Georgia occasionally has that tendency to jump out, like run down to the field and score and then just fade. But they just, once they got ahead, they just kept the foot to the floor, took care of business, and I was proud to see that. That's going to have to be the formula from here on out, I'm afraid, if they're going to keep on winning.
Yeah, they got a pretty big deal coming up this weekend, playing Texas. I think we can handle Texas, but I think Arch will be running for his life, because we have found out that is probably the only way to stop him. If you just let him sit back here in the pocket, and he'll pick you off. I mean, he's got that good arm. We all know that, and he can run. So,
I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, Bill. But you're right, and that has been part of his game that has improved since that shaky start he had.
That is true. What else we got? Another big one. The match of the week, according to all the experts, was the BYU at Texas Tech ball game. Texas Tech kind of ran away with that, 29-7.
That surprised me. Not necessarily the Texas Tech won, but the margin surprised me.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was going to be close.
Gary and I both had. Did we both have?
Two
BYU?
of you had BYU.
Yep,
two of
we
you
both did.
Yeah, I had BYU in that one, and that surprised me. Like I said, I mean, you knew it was going to be a pretty good game, but BYU had the advantage and record going in. I think they were, I know it was 8-0, 5-0 in the league, and Texas Tech was 8-1 and 5-1. So not necessarily surprised that Texas Tech won, but the margin surprised me. I said they wouldn't cover the spread, though.
I had Texas Tech.
LSU was Alabama. We all figured they would lose, and they did. I believe it was a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be, 20-9. I thought Alabama just run away with it. But LSU's got a pretty good defense. And they got a good quarterback. I just think the problem with LSU is they didn't have a good coach. And he's been dispatched. So we'll have to worry about LSU
lawsuit.
next year. Yeah.
He's filed a lawsuit now.
Well, they're saying that he was fired for cause, and the only cause is he couldn't win. He didn't do anything spectacularly stupid like Petrino did and got fired when he was at Arkansas, But or some of the other coaches like Ed Orgeron down at LSU, they fired him for. I think they tried to fire him for cause too, but it's just LSU being cheap. I mean, if you're going to offer this unbelievable amount of money as a guarantee, you better have the funds to pay it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. You know,
Well, they told him
no,
they told him that he was verbally, like Sunday, I think it was after LSU lost. They told him verbally, "You're fired, and it's we're firing you without cause." And then he turned around and said they, in writing said it's with cause. And so then, Brian Kelly turned around and sued him and said, "No, you told me without cause. That was your beginning. That's what you said from the get-go, and you can't change it now. And you owe me $56 million."
There you go.
They
He
tried to
could
get him to go for 25 and then 30, and he turned them away both times, I guess, holding out for the total amount.
Yeah, they don't have any cause on him other than he couldn't win.
That was it. You know,
And
Was
there's
he-
a lot
was
of
he-
factors involved in that.
was he a nice person? No. Did he really care about his players? From what I read, no.
Well, he
He's kinda-
wasn't. He was a northerner, wasn't he? Didn't he come down there? I mean,
he didn't understand the culture. He didn't understand the
No.
people. Didn't try to, apparently.
No, he was, absolutely was, he did not mix well with those folks down there in the bayou.
Did you see the end? Did you see the end of the Indiana Penn State game?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, what an end to a ball game! That may be the single best catch I have seen in many a year.
Is
I mean,
the
that kid.
tippy toe catch for a
Yeah, when he.
That was-
Yeah, right on the end line.
Did you see how high he had to go? I mean, he must have jumped. He must have had a vertical leap of over 3 feet. I mean, he went up for that ball. He came down and put that toe down and actually dragged the other toe across, too, as he was going out.
That's
What
great.
a catch. What an end to the game.
Yeah, it was. That was probably the best catch I've seen in, like you said, a long time. And the catch, not only was it a tremendous catch, but it won the ball game. If he'd
Absolutely.
have missed it, Penn State would have won.
Absolutely would. Absolutely would have.
Where'd he go, Indiana? The ratings have been out, and it's number 1, Ohio State, 2, Indiana, 3, Texas A&M, 4, Alabama, 5, Georgia. I agree with all of them except Texas A&M being at 3. It ought to be at 2 or 1 because their strength of schedule is not even close to Ohio State and Indiana. Ohio State and Indiana have really good ball clubs, no doubt. But Texas A&M has been playing murderer's row and has kicked everybody's ass.
Yeah.
And
Undefeated.
if you do that in the SEC, you're special. And I think they'll run out the rest of the season.
Well, as you said, Georgia's got a big task this week. Then they've got a one of those paydays for the other team, and then they got Tech, which I tell you, you talk about a trap game now. You better watch out for Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Oh, Georgia Tech hasn't got nothing to laugh about this year. If their quarterback's on, they'll be tough to deal with, no doubt about that.
That's going to be one of those throw the record book out the window and just toe to toe the whole game.
Well, they got similar records.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tech's only lost 1.
Yeah.
right. Shouldn't have lost that one.
That was a big upset at North Carolina State.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about competing, thought I'd throw something up for you. This past weekend, John and I went to Chickamauga Battlefield and did a 5K together.
Yay.
And we had 15-minute splits on our 3.1 miles. And I'm going to tell you what, my legs were sore the next day. It was all on asphalt. I thought it was going to be running across the damn battlefield. But we just ran through a neighborhood. And I'm going to tell you what, do 3 miles on asphalt is different than doing it running across a field or something.
Yeah.
Well, Chickamauga is kind of rolling in. You might have been better off going on the asphalt, because if the grades are steep and it's just grass, then you're fighting to stay upright coming down, and then you're fighting to get up the next hill. I did a 5K on a golf course one time, and that kicked my butt.
It wasn't too bad elevation change. It was pretty good, and we trotted the downhills. And Bill was good. He let me set the pace. So I was thankful for that. It was a good time, really good time.
Yeah, it was. It was exceptional. I think we ought to make this a Intelligent Ramblings 5K next year. Next year. That'll give y'all time to get loosened up a little bit, and y'all be able to do it with us. Well, why don't we take a quick commercial, and we'll come back and do some picking.
Glad.
Intelligent Ramblings is brought to you in part by Pat Williamson, a proud Dragon alumnus and a strong supporter of Jefferson athletics and academics.
Well, here we are with the picks for this coming up weekend. Y'all ready to get started?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. I'm ready.
UCLA at number 1, Ohio State.
Well, Tim Skipper is your interim coach at UCLA. Ryan Day, the boss of the number 1 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. And UCLA, Ohio State's still undefeated, by the way. UCLA, however, struggling along at 3-6. Now, they did knock off Penn State, but maybe that was not as big an upset as we first thought. In any event, Ohio State is averaging 36 points a game, and UCLA gives up almost 31. Buckeye defense only gives up about 7 in contrast to that, and they're third in the Big Ten in sacks. The Bruin offense is 114th nationally in scoring. Their red zone offense, however, is best in the conference once they get into the red zone. However, the problem is for them to get there. Buckeye defense rushes the passer well, which does not bode well for the Bruins. UCLA is 13th in the Big Ten in total offense, 111th in scoring defense nationally, and second to last in the conference in pass defense. Decent run game, but Julian's saying the Ohio State quarterback should absolutely carve up the UCLA defense. Buckeyes win, and I think they cover.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a blowout, no doubt.
The only thing that might mitigate it is if they decide to call off the dogs. 32.5 points. The early line was 31.5, but they've added another point to that. So I still think they're going to cover. I'm going to stick with that.
I'll go opposite of y'all. I just don't think they can cover that. UCLA's not that bad. They're pretty bad, but they're not that bad. Ohio State will win, of course, but not cover 32 points.
Well, it would be, if it's 41-7, that's a cover. Or 42-7, that's a cover. So
Yeah.
I don't think UCLA may not score. Ohio State's defense is wicked. So I absolutely think they're going to cover.
All right.
John, where you at on this?
I have Ohio State to win, but I'm saying they will not cover. So I'm sticking to that. They won't cover.
They won't cover. Okay.
Well, I don't think they care
What we think about that as long as they win.
Ryan Day stays up late on Wednesday nights just to see what we think about Ohio State.
Well,
Absolutely.
he tunes in after the show to see.
Yeah. I'm
He
sure they
catches
will.
he catches it on the replay.
Wisconsin at number 2, Indiana. Is William here?
Where'd he go?
No, I don't know. Well, William's doing the analysis on it, and William has disappeared. So we will skip that, and I don't think it's going to be much of a ball game anyway, and I figure Indiana's going to cover. But we'll skip that, and we'll come back to it if...
Well, Wisconsin's 3-6 and Indiana's 10-0, so that tells you just about what you need to know on that.
Yeah, the Wisconsin coach he's been guaranteed another year, but he's on the hot seat. And Luke Fickell, that's his name, I believe. He's a good coach. He came from Cincinnati and had a great program there. I bet he's going, why in the world did I leave Cincinnati? Must have been the money.
You think?
I think I was stayed at. There's William. He's upside down.
He's getting it straight.
He's figuring it out. There's William. You back?
All right, Wisconsin at Indiana, number 2 Indiana, Saturday at noon on the Big Ten Network. Wisconsin is a paltry 3-6, 1-5 in the Big Ten. Coach Luke Fickell is on the hot seat. They had a big win last week, though, over ranked Washington, which cooled the hot seat some. Quarterback Danny O'Neal left the win with a leg injury, and Luke Fickell is abstaining this week on whether or not he's starting or not. So it may be Danny O'Neal, it may not be. Indiana's a 30.5 point favorite. You got 29.5. It was 30.5 when I did this. I don't know which one's correct. It doesn't matter either way. There's no money line. The over and under is 44.5 points. Win probability for Wisconsin is 2%. Indiana 98%, obviously. Indiana's 10-0 and ranked second in the country for the second year in a row. Kirk Cignetti's done a great job. He has a 52-9 overall record at James Madison and Indiana, and he's 21-2 at Indiana, 15-1 in the Big Ten. Fernando Mendoza is the Heisman hopeful at quarterback with 181 completions for 2,342 yards. That's 71% passing, 26 touchdowns with only 5 interceptions. Rushing, Hemby, and Black both have over 650 yards and 5 touchdowns each. Receiving, Omar Cooper has 52 receptions for 701 yards, and Elijah Surratt has 42 receptions for 609 yards and 10 touchdowns. I got Indiana to win, probably not cover, but they may. 30.5 points, Indiana to cover.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Mendoza's the real deal.
Oh, yeah.
Indiana quarterback. He get it done. And the conversation of him around the Heisman has been getting a little bit more clear, shall we say.
Traction.
Traction's a good word. I agree. I think Indiana's going to win. I think they'll cover.
I think they'll win. I think they'll cover.
I've got Indiana to win and not to cover. I am gone all negative on who's going to cover what this week, but I'm more not covering than covering for the schedule this week.
All right.
South Carolina at number 3, should be number 2 or 1, Texas A&M.
Yeah, I agree with and Lane Kiffin says the same thing. He says there's a good argument for Texas A&M being ranked number one, based primarily on strength of schedule. ESPN Analytics gives Texas A&M an 85% chance of winning. Our coaches are Texas A&M Mike Elko, South Carolina's Shane Beamer. Texas A&M is ranked 7th in the Football Power Index. South Carolina is down at 40th. Texas A&M is 9-0 overall and 8-0 in the SEC. They are in the driver's seat at first place in the SEC. Texas A&M beat Missouri 38-17 on last Saturday. They've had 2 close games this season. They beat Notre Dame 41-40, and they beat Arkansas 43-40. So they at times have let opponents get close, but I do not think South Carolina is capable of keeping it close with Texas A&M. South Carolina is 3-6 overall, and 1-6 and 14th in the SEC, next to last in the conference. South Carolina lost 30-14 to Ole Miss 2 weeks ago. They've had a bye week this past week, so they'll be rested, ready to play at College Station Saturday afternoon. By the way, this is Saturday afternoon at 12 p.m. on ESPN. South Carolina's defense is close to Texas A&M's in points allowed, a little over 22 plus points for each, but numbers don't play the game. Texas A&M Aggies and the 12th man to win and cover the spread.
I will agree with you. I don't think Carolina can stay in there, and they're playing at Texas A&M, which makes it even worse. If they were in Columbia, maybe they might have a slight chance to make it close, but I don't think so. But I'm going with Texas A&M, but I don't think they're going to cover. Carolina does have a good defense.
I think they're going to win in College Station. I think they'll cover.
Just got to win by 3 touchdowns, and they got that. So, and like
I
you
agree with
say,
Gary.
they make a strong case of them being, ranked 1 or 2. I mean, they've played when you get into the SEC, you're playing in the best football conference in the country, and they're undefeated. That says what I need to know about Texas A&M.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Cover.
Well, they beat Notre Dame, they beat Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi, Missouri. The Texas A&M's outcome will come the 28th of November when they play Texas.
Oh yeah,
that's the only thing they got left on their schedule. They've already done everything. Beat everybody that's going to be tough. Next week they're playing Samford, and then 2 weeks from now they're playing Texas. So I'm pretty sure Texas A&M's going to be 10-0.
Nah, probably so. They'll probably represent that side in the SEC championship game. And it's still a battle in the East, still anybody's game in the East.
Well, there is no East or nothing anymore. It's just top 2.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we know
it's going to be Alabama and Texas A&M.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, that's what I would think, and I don't have a problem with that.
No, I don't either. And we've seen some.
It's hurt us the last 2 years.
Well, I think it hurt everybody the last year, didn't it? Was there only maybe one that advanced out of the teams that didn't get a bye? They had to play the first round. Were they, the ones that got a bye were rested.
Yeah.
But you're playing really good teams that can beat you up at this point of the season. If you have to play a conference championship game on top of the schedule that you've already played.
Yeah.
It can't do any. That conference championship can win you the conference, but as far as your overall team, it doesn't do a whole lot to help you, I don't think.
No.
I agree. Number 11, Oklahoma at number 4, Alabama. There have been few defenses in the country better than Oklahoma. The Sooners have allowed only 14.1 points per game this season, which leads the SEC and ranks 7th in the nation. Oklahoma also ranks first in the SEC with the fewest yards allowed per game at 264.22. That also ranks 7th nationally. A season ago, the Sooners held Alabama to 3 points on the road. Now, with a much different offense and a new offensive coordinator and quarterback, the number 4 Crimson Tide, 8-1, 6-0 SEC, will aim to have much more offensive success against number 11 Oklahoma, 7-2, 3-2 in the SEC on Saturday. The Sooners started the season on a 5-game winning streak, but have lost 2 of their last 4 games. The first loss of the season occurred against then unranked Texas, now ranked number 10. The second loss was 2 weeks later against number 6 Ole Miss, who is then ranked 8th. So, all in all, Oklahoma has 2 losses, but both are considered good losses. Alabama's lone loss came in the first game of the season to FSU with a new quarterback, Ty Simpson, who since then has put up Heisman-type numbers and play. Alabama has had some close ones, beating Georgia by 3, Missouri by 3, and a last-minute win at South Carolina. So I'm thinking this might be a trap game, and Alabama's dream of immortality may be dashed this Saturday by Oklahoma. I'm picking, in an upset, the Oklahoma Sooners will prevail.
Well, I respectfully disagree with you there. I think Oklahoma's a very good football team. I think Alabama, for some reason, had some sort of brain fart in that first game. But since then, they have played really well, and they beat good teams. Now, you point out, you make a valid point, Bill, when you point out that some of those games were really close, but they won. And I like Ty Simpson. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. And I think since after that first game against Florida State, he's made good decisions. And he's been one big reason that Alabama has won these things. So I'm going to stick with Alabama, and I think they'll cover. All they got to do is score a touchdown and kick an extra point, and they cover. Beat them by that.
Well, Michier has not been the same since he broke his hand. That's a well-known thing. And I think it's finally got to the point where he has been working his way back in and throwing a lot better and making good decisions, and whatever was going on for him that wasn't going on the last couple of games is going back on. So that's why I'm going Oklahoma. I like that quarterback, and I think he can handle Alabama.
Well, when he's on his game, Mateer's as good as anybody in the game. It
Yeah.
just depends on what you say. Is he back? Has he
I
got
think
that
he's
confidence back? Okay, well, it would not surprise me. I mean, we're dealing with people in the SEC here, so you're going to be playing good people.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Oklahoma wins, but I'm picking Alabama. They may not cover, but I'm picking them. I'll pick them, but not to cover.
I've got Alabama and to cover the spread. I think being at home in Tuscaloosa, they are fully aware that Oklahoma has a really good defense, and they know what they're in for. I think Alabama wins and covers the spread.
All right.
Number 10, Texas at. That's a big at. Number 3, Georgia.
And you can tell this is the marquee game of the day because it's the nighttime game, the primetime game. Everybody wants to see it. Kirby Smart and Steve Sarkisian, your coaching matchups. Keep in mind the Dogs did beat Texas twice last year, including one was 21-19, but Texas holds an all-time edge in the series 4-3. So they haven't met each other very often. This is only going to be the 8th time that these two storied programs have met in the history of college football. However, they are very, very similar teams. Let's start some comparisons. I'll throw a lot of stats at you, so stay with me. The quarterback for Texas, of course, is Arch Manning of the famous Manning quarterback dynasty. His numbers look like this: 2,123 yards through the air. He's got 18 touchdowns, but 6 interceptions. Now, Gunnar Stockton, 2,040 yards, 15 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. And Gunnar has a little bit better quarterback rating than Arch Manning, believe it or not. Team-wise, Georgia has been more consistent than the Longhorns this year. The offensive line for Georgia is a big strength, of course, as long as everybody's healthy. So they're pretty good there on the O-line. Texas has got a very strong pass rush. And their rushing attack on offense has come on, as have the Texas receivers. We could also say that about Georgia, couldn't we, huh? Defense of Texas, I don't think is quite as good as Georgia's, but they do cause some problems for people, and they do come in off a bye week. So they've had an extra week to get prepared. Now, look at some of Texas's quality wins. They just got by Vandy, but Vandy's not a bad team. Georgia needs to tighten up their deep pass defense. If they do that, I think the Dogs will be okay. Some other comparisons. Georgia averages about 33 points a game and change. Texas, almost 30 a game. Georgia averages 197.2 on the ground. Texas, 135.3. Through the air, Georgia has 239.1. Texas, 246.1. So your overall total offense looks like this: 436.3 for Georgia, 381.4 for the Longhorns. Defensively, Georgia gives up almost 311 yards a game. Texas gives up almost 314. But see, there's in scoring defense, Georgia with 20 and Texas with 16. I like Georgia. And I like the fact that Larson Lucky and Oscar Delp, the tight ends, have been getting involved in the offense lately. And don't forget, they have that 6'7" freshman, Alicia Williams, who can just get up in the air. Both Arch and Gunnar can run the ball. And they're close in the won and loss in the trenches. So this is one going to be those games that's going to be there. It's going to be a close game, I think. And I think it's going to be won and lost in the trenches. And that's, of course, that's almost a cliche, but this one is true. I think Georgia will win, but I'm not sure they're going to cover. Just to look at the rushing stats real quick, Chauncey Brown for Georgia, 446 on the year. Nate Frazier, 394. Gunnar Stockton, 290 on the ground. Manning has gotten his rushing offense up to 203 yards total for the season. And Quintarian Weissner has got 338 yards. So Georgia's a little bit better in the rushing attack, and it may come down to that. But again, this is going to be a trench warfare. I like Georgia to win, but I don't think they're going to cover.
I like Georgia to win and cover. I think they beat them by a touchdown at least, if not more.
I agree with Bill. If they win at all, they'll cover. I'm just worried about them winning.
I'm going the way Gary is going. I've got Georgia to win, but not cover. And I really do think Georgia is going to win. I think over the last couple games, they kind of rounded into playing playoff football. And if you want to pick something that makes a difference for me, it's Georgia's offensive line. And in particular, during the Texas game, watch number 73, Juan Gaston, the right guard, who has at times played right tackle this year. He epitomizes kind of the personality of the offensive line at Georgia this year. And it is a find somebody and hit them kind of personality. And I think that is going to end up being the difference in the game. You might not see it as the plays unfold, but that's what's going to make the difference. Anyway, all that to say, I've got Georgia, but not to cover.
Well, they got
Well, I
their
said it's
offensive line
French
back
warfare.
that have been injured. They got them back, and I think part of their second part of the schedule, they look kind of sluggish in the fact that they didn't have that offensive line. So they're back. So I think we'll push them out of the way.
Well, I say they win, but they don't cover. And if it comes down to a field goal, I kind of like our guy. Peyton Woodring's pretty good. He only missed one this whole year, right?
He's having a good season.
He's having a good season. He is an excellent kicker. We agree with you, friend, no doubt.
All right.
Florida Gators at number 6, Ole Miss.
Well, Florida's having a terrible year. They're 3-6, and they've fired their coach. Ole Miss is 9-1, doing pretty good. They're number 7. They dropped down a point, even though they shellacked the Citadel. The game will be at 7 p.m. on ESPN at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium there in Oxford, Mississippi. This is an interesting matchup because Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin is one of the leading candidates for the Florida job. Florida's DJ Langway will start after last week's benching. Langway has 171 completions for 1,762 yards and 11 touchdowns, but 12 interceptions, one of the reasons why he was benched. Jaden Ball has 149 carries for 747 yards and 5 touchdowns. Receiving, Burnell Brown, a freshman, has 33 receptions for 473 yards. And kicking, Trey Smack is 20 for 20 on extra points and 14 of 17 on field goals. Ole Miss, on the other hand, is 9-1 with its one lone loss coming to the University of Georgia. They dropped a spot to 7th, like I said, despite just the total domination of the Citadel. Kiffin's Rebels are led at quarterback by Trinidad Chambliss. We remember him when they played Georgia. The senior has 2,356 yards passing and 13 touchdowns with just 2 interceptions. Rushing, the workhorse is Kewan Lacey. The sophomore has 200 carries for 912 yards and 16 touchdowns. Chambliss is the second leading rusher with 99 carries for 434 yards and 6 touchdowns. I got Ole Miss, and I guess to cover that 15.5.
I agree. I'll go with a cover too.
I don't think Florida's.
Well, let's put it this way. I think they're just sort of playing out the string now.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I've got Ole Miss to win and cover the spread. The two Florida teams, University of Florida's fired their head coach, and Florida State can't, or said they won't fire their head coach. Isn't that a left-handed compliment? You can stay on, coach. We're not going to fire you this year. I think it's obviously had an effect on Florida to lose their coach, and Florida State is playing the same way. I don't know how I managed to get Florida State into this, but anyway, Ole Miss and to cover the spread.
Speaking of Napier, the Florida coach that got fired, guess who is at a Georgia practice this week? Billy Napier.
Really?
Yes.
I saw that on Dog Nation this afternoon. That was kind of.
Is he angling for a job?
I don't know. Maybe he just
distant or something.
Well, one of the teams that beat Texas this year is Florida. So maybe he knows something and is nice enough to come up and let us know, or maybe he's jockeying for a position coach.
Kirby said in his press conference, I think it was today, that his dad knew Billy Napier's dad. They were both coaches, and so their families knew each other, and it was more of a visit and a social thing. And oh, by the way, how do we beat Texas, Billy? And
Well, he and Napier both coached at Alabama together,
yes, they did.
so they've had a relationship for a long time. So it may be personal. It may have been a personal visit, and like you say, oh yeah, by the way, how do we beat Texas? So anything we
Florida athletes, that's how you beat them.
yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
got the athletes. We got that. Minnesota at number 7, Oregon.
So Minnesota at number 7, Oregon. This is a weird. There's a couple games in my games for this week that are started weird times. This one starts at 9 p.m. In Oregon on Friday night on Fox. ESPN Analytics gives Oregon a 95% chance of winning. Our coaches are Minnesota, PJ Fleck, Oregon, Dan Lanning. Oregon comes in at 3rd in the Football Power Index, and Minnesota is at 63rd. So 60 teams between Oregon and Minnesota. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are 6-3 overall and 4-2 in the Big Ten. They've lost 2 of their last 5 games, although they were quality losses, as we like to say around here, Ohio State and Iowa. Minnesota beat Michigan State 23-20 on Saturday 2 weeks ago, and they've had a bye week. They had a bye week last weekend. The Oregon Ducks are 8-1 overall and 5-1 in the Big Ten. They're 4th in the conference behind Indiana, Ohio State, and USC. And I, for the life of me, can't figure out why that is. But Oregon won 18-16 over Iowa on Saturday, November 8th, in an overtime victory. Oregon is the better team on paper. Their offense ranks 13th in the FBS, and their defense ranks 3rd in the FBS. Minnesota's offense ranks 120th in the FBS. And there's your matchup right there, Oregon's defense versus Minnesota's offense. Minnesota's defense ranks 21st in the FBS. The game starts at 9 p.m. Pacific time, which is actually 10 p.m. for Minnesota. Way too late for the Golden Gophers to be out. I think Oregon wins and covers the spread.
Well,
I'm going to agree.
Win. I think they're going to win, but I'm not sure they're going to cover 24.5 points.
Because Minnesota's not a bad football team. I mean, they got a good record in the conference. They've won 6 ball games. They're bowl eligible. I think the Gophers are going to lose, but I'm going to say that Oregon wins but does not cover.
If this game was at Minnesota, I'd pick them. I don't think it would be an upset, but since they're in Oregon, I guess I have to go with Oregon, but they won't cover that spread.
Well, I'm going with Oregon because they're at home, and I'm going to agree with Howie here. I don't know if they cover or not. I'm going to have to think about that. That's going to be a question.
Be a game day decision.
Be a game day decision. I got Oregon to cover, but I'm gonna have to rethink that. I think Minnesota's not a terrible team, and you got to be pretty terrible to get beat by 24.5.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So that's my thing.
University of Central Florida at number 8, Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a 23-point favorite. This is going to be on Fox Sports, 3:30 p.m. at Jones AT&T Stadium. In the Big 12 matchup, it's not looking good for Central Florida taking on Texas Tech. It's been an up and down, but mostly down first season, back at the helm for first-year coach Scott Frost. Number 8, Texas Tech, 9-1, 6-1 Big 12, will look to secure its 7th 10-win season in school history on Saturday when hosting Central Florida. 4-5, 1-5 in the Big 12 in its regular season home finale. The Red Raiders enter their senior day matchup against the Knights, sporting their best start to a season since 2008, placing the Red Raiders deep in the Big 12 title race. A victory on Saturday would only strengthen Texas Tech's Big 12 championship game and college football playoff aspirations, as it is one of 3 teams tied atop the Big 12 standings with 1 loss, along with BYU 5-1 and Cincinnati 5-1. To compound problems for Central Florida, they were left hobbled after 4 starters exited the game due to injury in the 3-point loss to Houston last week. Central Florida has 2 notable wins against West Virginia and North Carolina, with close losses to the aforementioned Houston and to Kansas. But with most first-year coaching changes this season to figure out how to win, not necessarily winning. Texas Tech is hot and on a memorable season, and I doubt Central Florida will make a dent in their progress. Texas Tech to win and to cover.
I'm just going to say I agree with you, Bill, for all of the above reasons.
I don't think you got a team with a losing record going against one of the top 10 teams in the country at their place. I don't see that happening in anything but a victory for Texas Tech.
Scott Frost is a first-year coach, although he came from Nebraska, where he didn't have a lot of success. He is still a good coach in my mind. I think Nebraska was in just too bad a shape for him to rehab that program. And I think he's probably taking it a little bit slower at Central Florida and making this a season to learn the players and the area. And, I mean, when he was playing ball, he was a great quarterback for Nebraska. And those seem to make pretty good coaches. William, John, what do you want?
I'll take Texas Tech to cover.
I've got Texas Tech also, and I'm making a real-time update to my spread picks. You heard it here first. I'm going to take Texas Tech to cover the spread.
All right.
I'm ready.
Number 9, Notre Dame at number 23, Pitt.
All right. Well, Marcus Freeman's the coach for the Irish, and Panthers coach is Pat Narduzzi. And Pittsburgh may be focusing a little bit on the ACC race. In fact, Narduzzi kind of intimated that in some of the quotes from at least one of the press conferences or something that I saw earlier this week. They're playing for a conference championship, and of course Notre Dame is an independent in football. Notre Dame has just been racking up some wins, and big ones. Their quarterback, CJ Carr, got some rest against Navy, but he still got 2,275 yards on the year. Jeremiah Love, 988 yards rushing. Jordan Faison has 545 yards receiving. Drake Bowen leads the defense with 55 tackles. Leonard Moore with 3 picks for the Irish. Remember, this was after that somewhat rocky start. Now, for Pitt, they're not too bad. Quarterback is Mason Heischel. He's got 1,547 yards through the air. Their running back is Jacarian Turner with 399 yards on the ground. And their linebacker core is really pretty good. Braylon Lovelace has got 55 tackles. And Kyle Lewis, another linebacker with 2 interceptions. These are 2 really good football teams. But I think Notre Dame is just a little bit better. Now, it's only 11.5 points, but I don't think they cover that. I think they win. I think they beat Pittsburgh, but it's at Pitt, and I'm going to give the Panthers a little bit of an edge there. But I think the Irish are still going to win, but I do not think they cover.
Since it's at Pitt, I'm about tempted to take Pitt. I guess I'll go with Notre Dame and not cover.
That's what I've got. I've got Notre Dame to win, but not cover the 11.5 point spread.
Notre Dame has had a interesting season, losing their first two games. And at that time, I said I think Notre Dame will run it the season. And so far, I've been correct on that. But the only problem with picking Pitt is they really haven't beaten anybody. And they've lost to Louisville and West Virginia. West Virginia's.
But see, in terms of the ACC,
This doesn't matter to Pitt. If they win out and win the conference, then that means something there. So, but I still think Notre Dame's going to beat them, and I still think it's going to be close.
Well, I'm gonna go with Notre Dame, and I'm going to cover.
All right.
Next.
Georgia Tech at Boston College. That's number 14. Georgia Tech at Boston College.
Yes, number 14, Georgia Tech at Boston College, 3:30 p.m. Saturday. Georgia Tech is 8-1, 5-1 in the ACC, with their long loss coming last week to North Carolina State. That was a costly loss as it dropped them out of the playoff race at this point. Coach Key's Jackets had a great season going, led by quarterback Haynes King, who's 158 out of 219 passing for 1,888 yards, 9 touchdowns. He also leads the team in rushing with 133 carries for 754 yards. And if he goes down, then Georgia Tech, I'm afraid, will go down. Eric Rivers leads the receivers with 31 receptions for 397 yards and 1 TD. No receiver has more than 2 touchdowns for Tech. Like I said, mostly it's a Haynes King rushing team. Boston College is 1-9 and 0-6 in the ACC, coached by second-year coach Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien's been around the park a few times. He's 56 years old and has been a head coach at several places, including the Houston Texans from the NFL from 2014 to 2020, and Penn State. And he was the offensive coordinator at Alabama and the New England Patriots. The Eagles are led by quarterback Dylan Lonergan. The sophomore has 162 completions for 1,655 yards and 10 touchdowns. Rushing, Turbo now, get this, Turbo Richard leads with 119 carries for 506 yards and 5 touchdowns. Lewis Bond is the leading receiver with 73 receptions and 733 yards and 1 TD. Georgia Tech is good and Boston College is not. So look for this to be a redemption game after Tech's loss to North Carolina State last week. I got Tech to cover by a bunch.
I agree with that. Boston College is not very good.
Well, they're 0-6 in the league, and they only won one outside the league.
So your assessment is correct, William. Tech's good. Boston College is not. They win, they cover.
I had Georgia Tech to win, but not cover. And I made another real-time update. Georgia Tech to win, and they will cover.
William talked you into it.
He got me going.
You never know about these young college kids, though. They may not cover.
Clemson at number 19, Louisville.
So Clemson at Louisville Friday evening. It's another Friday night game, 7:30 p.m. on Friday on ESPN. ESPN Analytics gives Louisville a 55% chance of winning, which means it's just about a coin toss. our coaches are Clemson, Dabo Swinney, and Louisville's Jeff Brom. Louisville comes in at 36 in the Football Power Index. Clemson, interestingly enough, comes in at 32. Clemson's 4-5 overall and 3-4 in the SEC. They're coming off a 24-10 victory over Florida State last weekend. That doesn't mean they've righted the ship. It just means they can cobble together a win occasionally. And Florida State is that team I was talking about a little while ago, who is kind of stuck with their coach. And I think the team plays like that. Louisville's ranked 20th and is 7-2 overall and 4-2 in the ACC. They lost 29-26 to California in a conference game last weekend in overtime. Louisville has a respectable defense and a decent offense. I think they have a chance to keep their season together by beating Clemson and covering the spread. Clemson, we talked about this last week. And last season in particular, and this season too, it's like they can't put a game together, put two games together where they're not having quarterback and receiver issues, or they're making mistakes on defense or getting penalized. And it's just last year was that way. This year's been that way. At any rate, I've got Louisville to win this one.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Louisville and to cover. Although Louisville has only lost to Virginia, and they were upset last weekend by California.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't really beat anybody except Miami. And I'm predicting that they'll lose the next two to SMU and Kentucky. But I don't think Louisville's that great a team, but they're playing at Louisville, and Clemson is not very good. I don't think Sammy Brown, as Howie has stated, is going to be able to do enough to propel Clemson to a victory.
I think Louisville wins, and I think they cover the 3.5.
And by the way, I want to thank our great fan, Howie, for chiming in on here and the text, and we appreciate that. And we encourage, if you want to talk back to us in the live show, feel free, jump on board, and you can give us your opinion as well.
Well, I'm going to buck the trend here. Louisville's got them on paper and analytics and everything else, but I'm going to pick Clemson just out of sentimentality.
Sentimentality.
I did that a couple of times this year, and the Tigers turned into pussycats. But you may be right, William. This is, things can happen in college football, as we all know. We see it every week.
If they were playing Clemson,
if they were playing at Clemson, it might be, yeah. But you know what? I wish they'd just quit playing these college games on Friday nights, period. This is the first round of the high school playoffs. We need to get away from this.
I agree with that 100%.
Especially since it's gotten into the playoffs now.
Yeah, this one's
at a playoff game.
This one's at 7:30 at night. The Oregon game's at 9:00. It's just not the way on a Friday night. Not the way to play football.
No, I don't give a rip if they're playing it at 9:00 on the West Coast, because that's 12:00 here.
They're playing at 9:00 here.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't care that we had another game that's going to start like at 9:00 on the West Coast, and that's midnight here. So I don't care about that. But we need to quit putting these college games on with the same time. The high school games around here now kicking off at 7:30. That's just a pet peeve of mine. I don't think they need to be playing college games on Sunday either, unless it's one of those rare days when you don't have an NFL game on Sunday before the season starts or something.
I agree. Mississippi State at number 22, Missouri. Missouri is picked by 7.5 points on the spread. This is at 7:45 at Farrett Field at Memorial Stadium. It's on the SEC Network. Mississippi State is capable of playing well against anybody, with close losses to Tennessee 41-34, Florida 23-21, and Texas 45-38. With wins against Arizona State 24-20 and Arkansas 38-35. So you better not take them lightly. 2 out of 3 losses for Missouri have been close. Lost to number 4 Alabama 17-10 and lost to number 13 Vandy as well. Mississippi State has regularly used 2 quarterbacks this season. Shapen is the passer with a season stat line of 176 for 271 for 2,232 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Taylor is the runner with 34 carries with 200 yards and 5 touchdowns. He isn't an incompetent passer, completing 11 of 19 for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns as well. So they can come at you at 2 different angles. Missouri, coming off a brutal 38-17 loss against number 3 Texas A&M, will look to bounce back from a subpar performance against the Aggies. Freshman quarterback Matt Zollers made his first start following Bo Pribula's injury against Vanderbilt. Zollers looked very shaky, throwing for 77 yards and no touchdowns. So as I have said before, Missouri has quarterback problems all year long. Once again, I'm going with the under Bulldog, so to speak. Missouri on a downward spiral, and Mississippi State is on an upward spiral. Mississippi State in the upset.
It would be an upset. I'm gonna disagree with you, Bill. I think Missouri at home finds enough to rally and cover the spread. I'll pick the Tigers.
I'll agree with Gary. Missouri spread.
So once again, Bill, you find yourself out on this upset limb.
Out on the upset limb. I pay for it every week too.
I've got Missouri to win and cover.
All right.
Well-
Well, that does
well-
it for our picking.
Well, as far as out on a limb, again, I'm still out there. And I started off like 5 games behind everybody. But I'm trying to come back. Gary last week at 75% correct on his picks. William Harrington look at that. William went 100%.
He certainly
All right.
did. Kudos to William.
But
Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah.
John and I both were at 83%. So we're still making some pretty good picks.
Still ahead of ESPN.
Oh, yeah. We're still ahead
By
of
a
them.
long way.
And this is our season totals for the picks for the week. Here it's
Dead
75. Williams at 76. John's at 75. And I'm at 74, and I'm coming back. Look at here. It's been slow
All right.
progress. But I started out at 68 when y'all, I was back to like 65%, and y'all are in the 70s. So slowly but surely, I've made a comeback.
Yeah, yeah.
Good job.
And like
Huzzah, huzzah.
we all said, we're still ahead of ESPN. ESPN, they ain't shit. They talk a lot, but they can't pick. So if you're a gambler, you ought to watch our channel, not ESPN, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
That's right.
As far as the spread goes, Gary was at 58%. William, once again, had a good week.
That's right. Applause.
75%, and John and I were tied with Gary at 58%.
Well,
And it,
we
as
just
far
think we just think gamblers worth the damn. Now William, he's the man that goes to Vegas, and he's got that gambler's feel for things. I think sometimes.
I think
so.
this graph right here, along with our season total pick percentage, is, we say kind of jokingly, but this is money right here.
Yeah.
In particular, William, he's had an 83% and 275s calling the spread over 8 weeks of doing that this season. It's pretty remarkable. I don't see anybody at ESPN doing that.
They're
And
not even-
overall with our percentages.
they're not even close.
Uh,
Here's the season total for the spread. I'm hugging the bottom at 53. And John's, see, Gary's at 56. John's at 58. Once again, William, our gambler, is at 64.
That's still making money.
That's still making money. And if you want to make money, you want to tune into us and not paying attention to those other guys. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial, and then we'll come back for summarization of the week. Man, that's some good-looking merchandise we just saw.
isn't
wanna-
it though?
Really, really nice T-shirt. You can get it from just a regular cotton, or you can get one of the fancier kinds where if you're going to do a workout, they got those style T-shirts. They also have sweatshirts, either the hoodies, or you can have the zip-up sweatshirts, or you can have just without the hoodie sweatshirt. Anything you want with that really cool logo that's sitting right up there in the right corner.
Well, I've got a gazillion T-shirts, but maybe I just need to add this one to my collection. Be
Absolutely. Should.
I could sport it.
Absolutely. Well, we got the first round of the Georgia State High School playoffs. Jefferson's playing Dougherty at home, and as long as they win, they will
Stay at home.
keep playing home. They'll stay at home until I think the state championship, right?
That's right. That's right. This is the revamped playoff format, and next year it'll be realigned the regions. Some people stay the same, and some move either up or down. But it's not set in stone yet. There was one round of appeals, and I think there's another round of appeals in there, William, before they really finalize what region you're going to be in next year and what classification.
I think 15 out of like 50 something won the appeal.
Yeah, it's not a sure thing at all if you appeal it. In fact, it's usually not your sure thing. But some people do get some consideration based on mitigating factors. We'll see. Yeah, I'll be working radio at the North Hall game. They play Mount Zion of Jonesboro, and I think that one's going to be a butt whooping right there. Trojans are pretty good. The two best teams that I have seen in person this year are North Hall and Jefferson. And I don't think they'll meet unless they meet in the state championship.
Well, if anybody's at the Charlotte Marathon, I'll be there this weekend, and we'll be on the course as a photographer. So just look for my pretty face as you come jogging by and wave.
Well, my children, son and daughter-in-law and grandsons, they'll all be watching the dogs hopefully whoop the Longhorns on Saturday night over in Athens. Jill and I got to go by and take care of the grand dog for a little while. But
What time does that start?
7:30, I think.
7:30.
Well, that's when they start their main broadcast. It probably won't kick it off for another 10 minutes after that. So 7:40, 7:45-ish, probably when they'll
Hopefully
finally kick it off. So it'll be over. It's going to last till midnight. They're going to be a long time getting home. So
Yeah.
Well, look, hopefully I'll
traveling
be
mercies.
home in time to watch it.
Yeah, I got to referee a wrestling tournament Saturday. Hopefully, I'll be done by 7:30.
We've got a wrestling
Saturday,
match tomorrow
Go
night.
ahead.
I was going to say my wrestling team that I help coach. We are South Hall. We are at West Hall tomorrow night for West Hall and White County, and maybe one more. Maybe a quad meet, but maybe a three-way. Guys, you remember when we wrestled? We just wrestled dual meets, us against them, and we didn't wrestle a whole lot of those. And almost what do we wrestle, like maybe one tournament a year or something like that before the state meet?
Yeah.
These kids do all that in a month.
Well, all right, guys, it's been a great week, and I hope everybody will, if you don't catch us live, please tune in to us. We have a lot of fans that do watch the show on YouTube or on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. Please join our Facebook page and our Facebook group. We have both. And until then, we will see y'all next week.
All right. Good
Y'all have
night.
a good week.
Thanks,
Good
everybody.
night. May God bless.
Good night.
See you.
Well, I thought it was. I'll do it this way.